Hi guys, so this next video is going to be talking about the season 4 premiere of Sherlock, which, holy smokes, like, oh my god, here we go. Today on Tay Time, I, Taylor, will lead you through the series 4 premiere of Sherlock. So, first off, my apologies for the camera angle. I'm currently holding the camera with my non-dominant hand. Okay, so this past Sunday, January 1st, 2017, after I thought we'd get one full day of happiness, Sherlock happened. So I thought it was awkward at first that Alan Cumming, as fashionably dressed as he was, actually had an intro that they filmed with him as opposed to him talking about it, and it was really weird, and he was talking about how they're friends and stuff like that, and I just didn't get it, and I was like, okay, this is fun, thanks Alan, give me the episode. If only I had known there was a reason. So then there was this, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Entertainment Weekly, their recap, because they have a very good recap, and also tell the story that I will completely mess up telling. As you all know, the episode had like the previously on, and it was all the did you miss me, did you miss me, did you miss me, miss me? And basically they were telling this story that was repeated many times throughout the episode that said it's a fable, and it's about a rich merchant in Baghdad who encounters death, shocking them both. In a desperate attempt to escape his fate, the merchant flees to the faraway city of Samara. Upon arrival, he once again finds himself face to face with death. This time, the merchant accepts his fortune, but not before asking Death why the ghostly figure was so surprised when they ran into each other in Baghdad. "I was surprised," Death explained, "because I had an appointment with you tonight in Samara." That story comes back so many times in this episode, also known as the Six Thatchers. Obviously, this Thatcher refers to Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of England from a while ago. So I liked that this episode was a bit misdirect at first, and also a bit funny. I couldn't think of the word funny. Wow, fail. And it was really good stuff. It was the mystery about the kid who was trying to surprise his dad, and then he had a stroke, and then somebody ran into the car and they found the body of the kid, and Sherlock figured that out. But of course, baby Watson was born, little Rosamund Mary. That whole sequence was hilarious. I love that the godparents are Molly, Mrs. Hudson, and Sherlock. Probably a couple other people too. Sherlock was not paying attention at all through most of this stuff. He had a funny argument with the baby as well that I thought was hilarious. And then, of course, they figured out the whole thing involving the son, and there was a statue head, and the statue head was a bust of Maggie Thatcher. And of course, it's missing. And it's because somebody is going around smashing it. That actor, by the way, is Sacha Dhawan, who was in The History Boys and 24. He is the actor, I shouldn't say the actor, he is playing the character AJ, who's going around smashing heads. So, after a brilliant reference to The Great Mouse Detective with Toby the dog, you need to watch that movie if you haven't watched it, they eventually are like, Moriarty is going to come to me. That's Sherlock. Moriarty's going to come to me. And John Watson keeps seeing this girl on a bus. We'll get to that. I'm not happy about that. So eventually, after a really awesome pool fighting sequence, Sherlock finds out that AJ has found the bust, and the bust of that specific Margaret Thatcher has a flash drive with a GRA, just like Mary did in the season 3 finale. which is freaky. Obviously, Sherlock tells Mary, and Mary drugs him, and she goes on a beyond brilliant, on Amanda Abington's part, journey across Europe, and all this crazy stuff. Obviously, Sherlock and John find her. I mean, this is the same Sherlock that found Irene Adler God knows where. So, at least that's how I'd like to think. Man, there's some different interpretations on that ending. He found her. Let's be honest about that one. So then, after that happens, and of course, like, Mycroft and Lestrade are strewn throughout this episode as well. After that happens, basically, AJ ends up finding them and confronting her. You know, he was caught for the past 6 years. And Mary goes, well, what did they say to you? And he said, oh, they kept talking about the English woman, and then he gets shot. And they end up going back to the UK. This is where I wanted to throw something through my TV. We found out John has been cheating on Mary. Now, I know a lot of you were like, oh, it was just texting, oh, it was this. No, he was cheating on her. I don't care. He was cheating on her with E. That woman honestly looks like Zoe Deschanel. And, oh, I know what I forgot to mention. Sherlock figured out that amo, which was what AJ kept saying this whole time, was actually the Latin word for love, and that was the person who ordered the attack that split up Agra, and caused all of Mary's problems and all that jazz. So, now they're back in England, and John is just about to tell Mary about this mysterious E. I'm mad at you, John Hamish Watson, in case you can't tell. I'm mad at you. So then, this is where it gets a little tricky to describe. Mary and John argue, oh, who's going to watch Rosie? Oh, who's going to go first? Mary goes first. Turns out, back at the beginning of the episode, those same, like, government people from season 3 fixed the footage of Sherlock shooting Magnuson at the end of season 3 to make it look like an accident so he can find Moriarty, and nobody would give him an issue about that. And they end up arresting, on their way back, the older woman. Turns out it's her secretary that Sherlock and Mary find in the aquarium, and that story about the death and Samara and the merchant comes back. And let me tell you something, that story was very, very, honest to God, a little scary. And it's sort of connected to the Tale of the Three Brothers from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So, I take it J.K. may have based that story of the Peveril brothers and the Deathly Hallows off of this merchant and death in Samara story. Anyway, eventually everybody's surrounding this secretary woman. And she goes to shoot Sherlock. Turns out Sherlock is the merchant no more. Because Mary takes the bullet and dies. I was not expecting this from you, Mark Gaddis. I'm gonna admit that. You did good, though. And she dies, leaving John a mess. Eventually telling Molly to tell Sherlock that anybody but you, I would rather have as my child's godfather, as my friend, all this stuff. It's really sad. And at the same time, Mycroft has had a post-it note on his fridge that said 13th. Why 13? I have no idea. And he calls for Sharonford. Now, Sharonford, or Sharonford is the third Holmes brother. Prayers right now that it is not the Toby Jones character, and prayers right now it is Tom Hiddleston, when the character does come. At the same time, Mrs. Hudson, poor Mrs. Hudson, I love you, Mrs. Hudson, gets a piece of mail. Mrs. Hudson receives a piece of mail for Sherlock, and Sherlock opens it, and the DVD says, "Miss Me." So, of course, the two of them are like, "Oh my god, it's Moriarty. Oh my god. Oh my god." It's not. It's Mary telling Sherlock to save John Watson. And then there is a post scene in which she also tells Sherlock to go to hell. And this emotional roller coaster of an episode. First off, thank you, Amanda Abington, for Mary. I hope that's not the last we see of her in general, but I really liked you as Mary. And I thought you brought a new vibe to Mary. So I'm sad to see you go. Trying not to cry. I did that last night. Enough. Mark Gatiss, let me tell you something, man. I know a lot of people hate you right now for killing Mary. One of the best written episodes I've ever seen in television in general. It was brilliant. I can't even begin to describe it. I like baby Rosie. I need to see more of this baby. And more of her throwing rattles at Sherlock's face, because that was funny. I'm intrigued to see if there's a time jump, because it looks like in the previews Benedict has stubble. Not enough for a full-grown beard, but stubble. And I'm interested to see how Toby Jones works into all this. I'm so used to Toby Jones being like the big character person. Even if he's on the villain side, he's like the big character person. I'm used to him voicing Dobby. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. We also haven't gotten a Moffat episode yet, so, oh my god, you know where that's going. I know a lot of people did not like this episode. I will admit, John Watson, I am very angry with you right now. Like, very angry with you. Do not cheat on your wife. When Sherlock, like, doesn't even know that, that's sad. Also, instead of telling Sherlock that he broke his vow, let's not cheat. Well, you were technically correct about Sherlock breaking his vow. Let's not cheat. Okay? Thanks. Bye. I know a lot of people hated this episode, but this was a solid season premiere. I mean, wow. Oh my god. If this was the season premiere, the season finale is going to be like the thing that sweeps all the awards. And I am really looking forward to the rest of the season. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tay Time. Please subscribe and like these videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.